Donald Trump has put the moral and ethical ground of elected officials in hell.
I think if this was someone with a KKK tattoo.
At the end of the day, what the problem is and why Americans are so fed up with our politics is the hypocrisy.
Welcome to another political rant. We have another juicy one for you today. Before we dive in, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. Let me know what you're thinking about this video today. I want you to get your rant on in the comments with me. I don't want to hesitate. I just want to dive right in. So let's get into it.
If your house is on fire, you don't ask whether the firefighter has problematic DMs. We're not hiring a priest. We're hiring a senator.
The choice that voters in Maine have and voters in Maine will make is whether they vote for a very flawed candidate in Plattner, very flawed. I think so many different things that he has done I find morally reprehensible. But do they vote for the guy who's flawed, or do they vote for the woman, the senator, who has voted 90% for the president, with the president, who is even more flawed, I
have an answer for that. Quite frankly, none of it's going to matter if they don't win the House. And then also, quite frankly, you know, it's maintaining the House, but nothing's really going to get done if we don't win the Senate either. So I hear what she's saying. The lesser of two evils, that's where we are in today's politics and society today. But ultimately, it all doesn't matter unless, you know, we, and by we, I definitely mean people that want the best for the country, the world, maybe even, and not Democrat or Republican.
That's 24 plus accusations of sexual misconduct. Who we have heard boast about sexual assault.
But isn't that, I mean, I guess you can't, if you're saying that there's no moral test anymore, you can do whatever you want.
You don't think Trump has changed the moral test?
All I'm saying is that what that does that not just create a permission structure for people on the right to say, hey,
I mean, of course,
put aside the several marriages, the grab them by their you-know-what. He's going to outlaw abortion. He's going to do all these things that we care about, lower taxes.
See, yes, I hear what Abby is saying, but the thing is, and all respect to Abby Phillip, definitely enjoy their show, but it really seems as though she's living in the past. This isn't the world. That isn't the current political landscape. That's not how people navigate it. It's disgusting out there. And to act as though the rules have not changed and to try to take the high ground and play by the old rules when everybody is acknowledging, and by everybody I mean the consensus is acknowledging the new rules, that's just foolish.
That's why we voted for
I hear Galloway, and I'm somebody who believes in giving people grace, right? I don't ever want to look at anybody on their worst day, but people deserve grace, and we should give ourselves more grace. I think he was conflating, though, that when we talk about purity test in the Democratic Party, most times we're talking about policy and ideological purity. We're talking about progressives saying, oh my God, he's not progressive enough, so our tent continues to constrict. We're not necessarily talking about the fact that Donald Trump has put the moral and ethical ground of elected officials in hell. Like, that's the bar. Somewhere in hell.
That is the
and
truth.
So it's very,
That's
very, very low for anybody to like eclipse that. I don't want Nazis, regardless of if they're going to vote with me, like on wearing my jersey. I don't. And I don't know Graham Plantner. I think that's his name. I don't know everything about him. But I do know that Ken Paxton is extremely flawed, like beyond flawed. Like he has character issues. I do know that we see Andy Ogles just yesterday talking about not gay marriage, but just being gay in this country is an abomination. So I think that we have to get back to a point where, and I say this to people all the time, I say being a pastor and being an elected official are the only professions in this world where people expect more from you than they expect from themselves. And we used to have individuals who were in elected office who had some modicum of respect and dignity. I would like to get back there, but I'm not, to agree with Galloway a little bit, I'm not about unilateral disarmament either.
There's a few issues here.
Loaded eyebrows. So yeah, ultimately, I definitely agree with what he is saying. Is kind of reflecting on what I was saying earlier. The rules have changed. Things are different, and to play by the old rules while people are changing the country in a way that is terrible for the majority of people. Yeah, that's not the way that you win that's not the way that you win a game. That's not the way that you win a battle.
Number one, this is a guy who the Democratic base chose before the primary season even really took place, and there was actually a vote. So there was plenty of time to go with someone who doesn't have a Nazi tattoo, to your point. Like, they're making a choice. I think if this was someone with a KKK tattoo, the Democratic Party would not be embracing it the same way. This is a different Democratic Party and its relationship to Jews and Israel. It just is. And I think that they're willing to give up certain kinds of morals that they used to hold, all because they've been deeply.
I don't want to interrupt him. He has a right to give his point, but the way that he conflated Israel with Jewish people, it's terrible.
Broken by the threat of Donald Trump in their eyes. This is not someone who's just deeply flawed. He has a Nazi tattoo. He has a Nazi tattoo. And I think that that goes far beyond someone who is simply flawed. None of this started during Donald Trump either. I think that when it comes to the sexting and whatnot, I don't think people care anymore. I think they should. But that's not a Trump thing. I seem to recall a certain president who was in the Oval Office who had sex with an intern.
The Democrats just got rid of Swalwell because of precisely.
Well, no, I'm sorry. The Democrats
exactly.
I was
Exactly.
wrong about Al Franken. By the way, Senator Franken, I was completely wrong about you. I jumped on this bandwagon. There was a purity test.
But Eric Swalwell is a good example of this. The story that came out was.
It's really important that we stop and we acknowledge what Bacardi just said about Al Franken, Senator Al Franken. A few years ago, I remember. I believe it might have been a staffer or an intern came out and said that there were accusations about inappropriate behavior. And he resigned. And it was because the majority of the Democrats were calling for him to resign at that time. And I think what he just acknowledged was the fact that there was this purity test that was happening at the present moment. He didn't necessarily agree with it, but he jumped on that bandwagon. And I think it's just important that we acknowledge what he just confirmed just now.
As everyone knew. This was the quiet secret everyone knew. So they allowed it to continue for a very long time, regardless of his potential victims. I think that's the real issue here. It is just beyond bizarre that the Democrats are still defending.
Can you do me one favor and stop saying the Democrats? Because I recall.
It is the Democrats in this case.
You literally had an individual in the United States Congress sleep with an intern, destroy her life to the point where she committed suicide and set herself on fire.
It wasn't an intern. It was a staffer.
Excuse me. So like, let's
Anna Paulina was the one who was leading the charge.
Let me just
boot him out of office.
Back up real quick. What I'm saying to you,
the guy's name was Tony Gonzalez
is that
from
we
Texas.
we have an issue in the American body politic, and it does not do it service to have this conversation if you're going to make it about partisanship, because I can tell you that there are warts on both sides. For example, you want to talk about anti-Semitism? Did you hear Thomas Massey in his
Thomas
concession
Massey
speech?
is an anti-Semite.
Did you hear that?
I've said that from the beginning. I said the same thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
But he has
I'm not viewing it as political. I'm calling out the anti-Semitism when it exists.
Believes that Jews control the weather from lasers.
Which is why, from the beginning, I was someone who called her out. She has been suddenly embraced by some in left-wing media because she's suddenly anti-Donald Trump.
My point to you is that this is a cancer that does not strictly affect the left arm or the right arm.
100%.
This is a cancer that has completely corroded our body.
Which party is embracing
Let Batya
platinum?
have a moment.
Very, very true.
Well,
I mean, he's absolutely true. More accountability on both sides.
I'll just say, my grandfather's whole family was murdered in the Sobibor concentration camp. Graham Plattner doesn't just have a Nazi tattoo. For 18 years, he had a tattoo of the concentration camp guards on his chest And he knew what it was. He knew what it was. And to hear people compare that to anything else in the public sphere in America is insane. And it is insanely offensive. These people who are defending him called me and every other MAGA person a Nazi for 10 years because we voted for someone who we thought would improve the lives of working class Americans. And now they are lining up and defending a guy who had a Nazi tattoo, which he knew about, for 18 years. It is so insane to...
I wanted to let her get what she needed to say out because she has a right to say it, but that wasn't the reason why they voted for Donald Trump. The reason why they voted for Donald Trump is because Donald Trump expressed similar hatred that they aligned with, and he was able to articulate that in a way that resonated with them. A lot of people, she was an example just now. She used the economy as an example. I know me personally, there's never going to be a time in my life where the potential for economic success will trump my humanity. And I don't think that people should be excused for prioritizing their economy over their humanity. I think that it's a clear... there's a clear hierarchy in that priority list, and people that use the economy as an excuse, no, you sure that was a benefit, but you ultimately saw what this person was about, and that's what you wanted. So yeah, I want her to say what she has to say, but ultimately, that's not the reason why you voted for him.
Act like anything Donald Trump did was anywhere close to having a Totten Cup on his chest for 18 years. This guy is a Nazi, and Democrats are lining up behind him because they think he can win.
And Batia, let me. When we talk about the depths of hell, this is what I mean. People become desensitized to it because I take your point about Graham Plantner and his Nazi tattoo and how offensive that is. I can also tell you that when somebody says that with a woman, all you have to do is grab her by the you-know-what, right? Talking about sexual assault as a husband, as a father, as those type of things, then that actually takes you to this point where I just say that the body politic as a whole, I'm not talking about oppression Olympics. I'm not saying that this one is worse than this one or this person is worse than that person. What I am saying, though, is the body politic has become corrosive. And so, yes, I can call Graham Plantner a Nazi who does not deserve to be in office. I can also say that if you admit or talk about grabbing women by the vagina, you should not be president of the United States.
I will say, I think we're all in agreement here. I think that when it comes to, we shouldn't be comparing like apples and oranges.
Correct.
Of this is worse than that. But
call it what it is.
What at the end of the day, what the problem is and why Americans are so fed up with our politics is the hypocrisy, because both sides are guilty of it, of making excuses for bad.
She said exactly what I was saying. It's the hypocrisy. I mean, if people kept it 100 and said, we do this, we both do this, it'd be different. But people are acting as though they're high and mighty and that they're better than the other side. That's just not the case.
Behavior from candidates on both sides.
No, but
and
I'm
I think,
sorry,
wait, let me
it's
finish
not
my
both
point. Let me
sides.
finish
I
my
just
point.
have to say
Batia, let me finish my point.
Batia,
Real quick.
let me finish my point.
I'm going to finish my point. I'm going to finish my point.
Side has a Nazi, and they're defending him.
Batia, let me let her finish.
We could go all day and I could rattle off every bad thing that Trump has ever said or done, and we could compare all these things. But what I'm trying to get at, my main overall point, is that we would all be a lot better off of, instead of making excuses for candidates and excusing this type of behavior, whatever it is from either side, that we stopped constantly lowering the bar and we held them to a higher standard. Because I agree with Bakari's point that there is a level that we do, I think, need to see from our politicians. We want our children to look up to our president, to look up to our senators, our congressmen, our congresswomen, and want them to be someone that they can look up to and inspire them and be a role model for them. And I don't think that we're seeing that, not just from Trump. I think that could apply to many politicians nowadays.
So there you have it, another amazing debate segment for Abby Phillip late night show on CNN. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like and comment. Let me know if you want me to check out some other news networks and do some other news network debate panels. Also, if you have any ideas for these panelists, nicknames for them, I'm gonna do my best to try to, learn these people's names. But until I do that, let's figure out some funny nicknames for them. I mean, we'll leave it at that for now. I'm gonna try to get more videos out. But until then, always remember, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just ranting the blues.